Peace, and welcome, and good morning, everyone. I want to say hello to Gertrude and Leanne and Jonathan and Maggie. Condolences on the loss of your brother. So peace and welcome to Not Church, giving you hope and inspiration and an experiential channel to the light that you can feel maybe when you open your heart, by opening your mind, through the lens of near-death experience. No dogma, no doctrine, no Bravo, Sierra. We seek the passages in the Bible that are full of mystical meaning, and then we deconstruct them. Now, when I first came back to this life after my first near-death experience, it felt like a curse to me. You've heard me talk about that. It's in my book. The pain, the suffering, the density, the difficulties of living in a body, the wounds from my night on the mountain, the trauma of it all. I'm long since over it, though. Happy news there. I'm long since over it, partly because in 2016, I went back to where I died and faced my trauma head on, but also because I've spent a lot of years, decades in meditation and in integration. And I've long since accepted the undeniable difference between heaven and incarnation. So just to let you know, you are an incarnation. In heaven, all suffering ends, but the realm of beauty never ends. I tried to be a channel of light for you here. Not just for you, but for myself, for the world around me, for the life I'm leading. I seek to give you a glimpse of the radiance inside yourself, so that you might be spiritually fed and fortified in a community of seekers. I'm not the only one with the light. You have it too. Everyone does. Some to greater degrees, and those who are gathered here with us today to greater degrees, when we're sitting together, which we will in a few minutes, let it flow out from you. Let's create a big bubble among us. My goal is to help you find the radiance inside yourself so that you can feel it for yourself, so that any fears you have might be washed away. Today, title, Nothing Cursed. We're going to pick up at Revelation 22:3 today, where we left off last week. Revelation, I remind you, is the lost creation story, the third creation myth. That ought to precede Genesis 1. You'll want to catch up if you missed last week. It's in the link below. So I'm seeing over here in the chat, how was the earth created? Big Bang. And all the stuff I've been talking about. You want to catch up. Some of the stuff I talked about last week, but also some of the stuff I've talked about cosmology and astronomy and the Big Bang in earlier videos. Science is real. Mythology tells truth without necessarily being true. And what we're doing today, what we've been doing for the past few weeks, is looking at the mythology of the creation stories in the Bible. And we're going to continue in Revelation, as I said. Now, you'll need to understand that what Jesus taught in the Gospel of Thomas, that's what this whole thing is all about. What he taught in the Gospel of Thomas. And I know that Jesus, someone asked me this week, well, it's not really the words of Jesus because he didn't write them down and there wasn't a scribe there. And yeah, it's true. But these are the oral traditions of Jesus that got handed down. So they're approximations. They're intended to be as close as possible to exactly what he said. And so when I say that Jesus said this, what I mean is this is the story that is passed down in oral tradition that got written down eventually, and that's where we're working from, plus the translations and all that stuff, for sure. But in the Gospel of Thomas, in number 18, he says, the end is the beginning, and the beginning is the end. This is most important. Where you are from is where you are going. What the mystic John talks about, and that's John of Patmos, that's John of Revelation, the mystic John, what he talks about in this chapter is the eternal now, flowing out from beneath the metaphorical throne of the beloved, who holds mercy, forgiveness, welcome, joy, peace, paradise, beauty, adoration, wholeness, well-being, and more, and the Lamb in her lap as she sits upon the throne. And if you want to know what I'm talking about, read Revelation 22. However, go back and look at last week's video. The crystal river of all life flows out from it, watering heaven, watering the city of light, creating this heaven itself, pouring out of the divine. And that's also a metaphor. The same river that feeds heaven, that makes heaven exist, feeds the two-trunked tree of life that we talked about last week, meaning the duality of our universe. The water of life feeds the leaves of the tree, of this tree, of the tree of life. And you and I, we are the leaves, all of us, by the billions. All the animals, insects, plants, all the viruses, everything is fed by the river of the water of life. Nothing exists in the universe without it. Some say the secret ingredient is love. That's the same thing we're speaking about here. Oh, I have a phone call. Hello, Lee. I had a phone call from one of my viewers. Hello? Not good at all. Oh my gosh, I've been talking for 7 minutes and you can't even hear me? Oh, all right. Hold on. Thanks. Not good at all. Not good at all. What the heck is going on today? Oh my gosh. Is that better? Oh, people, help me. Can you hear me okay? Is that better? Yes. We could hear you, but the background noise. Background noise? Oh. How's that? Is that better? Oh. I forgot to shut off my outside mic. So, should we begin again? What do you think? Mic's too close now. Hot mic. Cheapers, creepers. I did. I turned up my mic. There. Is that better? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh, the chipmunks. I forgot to shut off my mic. I can't hear it in here because I turned down my speakers. So should I begin again? Perfect. Much better. Thank you. But should I begin again? A little bit higher. You guys are great. I love the fact that you put up with me. Good now. All right. No need to start over. Okay, I'm going to pick up where I left off. And yeah, the red squirrel's right out there. I forgot to shut off my mic. I turned on my speakers. I need a producer. I just need a producer. Now my mic is over modulated. Okay, perfect. Okay, all right. Please restart. You deserve your own tech producer. I totally do. I couldn't pay attention before. Start over, please. Okay. Gonna start over. All right, everybody. Here we go. Right, take it from the top. Reshoot. All right. Here we go. I was ad-libbing in there too. So here we go. We're gonna start this again. This is the thing about live. I thought I had everything set again. Oh, well, I need to put up a list, Susan. You're quite right. Um, you're quite right, everybody. Here we go. So, can I be more embarrassed? Yes, I can. I can be more embarrassed. I've definitely been more embarrassed in my life. So, peace and welcome. For actually, what I want to begin by saying is a little moment for Maggie, who lost her brother suddenly. Peace and welcome to Not Church, giving you hope and inspiration and occasionally mic problems and an experimental, experiential channel of light so that you can feel when your heart is open. And you can do this by opening your mind. Through the lens of near death experience, no dogma, no doctrine, no Bravo Sierra, we seek the passages in the Bible that are full of mystical meaning and we deconstruct them. When I first came back to this life, I felt it felt like a curse to me. All this pain, the suffering, the density, the difficulties of living in a body, the wounds from my night on the mountain, the trauma of it all, and thanks, Chad, you're the best. The trauma of it all. It was like I lived in a curse for decades. Now, I'm long since over this. In part because in 2016, I faced my trauma and I went to the mountain and I claimed myself back. But part of the reason why I'm long since over this is because I've spent so many years in meditation and reintegration. And I accept the undeniable difference between the beauty of the realm of heaven and this crass incarnation with all its fun and beauty, but it's so much less than. I accept it for what it is. In heaven, all this suffering ends, but none of the realm of beauty ever ends. I've been practicing trying to be a channel of light here. I've been trying to be a channel of light here. I've been trying to radiate the presence of the divine for you so that you might glimpse the radiance living inside you, but also for me. Primarily, I started for me in order to reconnect me to the divine while I was living in this curse, only to discover the deeper I went inside, the brighter the world became for me, the less of a curse it was. Suffering hasn't ended, but the beauty has reasserted itself. I seek to channel the divine light into the world to give you a glimpse of the radiance inside you so that you might be spiritually fed and fortified and discover that you can do this inside yourself and you don't really need me or anyone else. This living light is who you are. My goal is to help you find the radiance that's already alive inside you so that you can feel it on your own and live through it into the world. Today, nothing cursed. And we're going to pick up at Revelation 22:3, right where we left off last week. Now, I'm going to give you a little reminder in case you didn't see last week's. You might want to check it out. It's in the past, but the link is below. So, Revelation 22, I'm just going to remind you the lost creation story, the third creation myth that ought to precede Genesis 1. Like I said, you'll want to catch up if you missed last week. But what you need to understand is what Jesus taught in the Gospel of Thomas. Now, I know someone contacted me this week and said, well, the words of Jesus, she was raised in a church and the church taught that these were the words of Jesus, but then she learned that they're not. They're not the words of Jesus. They were written a long time after he died. They're the stories about the words of Jesus. They're the oral tradition, and it's not the same thing. And then they're translated. So they're not really the words, but they're the stories that try to capture the meaning of what he was trying to get across to us. And I'm going to look at the Gospel of Thomas for a moment here, number 18, where he says, the end is the beginning, and the beginning is the end. Where you go when you die is where you came from before you were born. You start where you ended, and you end where you start. The end is the beginning, and the beginning is the end. And that's what's in this story and Revelation, in this myth of creation. That's what's there. Now, what John the Mystic talks about in this chapter is the eternal now, flowing out from beneath the metaphorical throne of the beloved, who holds mercy, forgiveness, welcome, joy, peace, paradise, beauty, wholeness, adoration, and more in the Lamb in her lap as she sits upon the throne. The crystal river of all life flows out from her, watering heaven, watering this city of light, which is also a metaphor. And the same river, crystal river of life that flows into the two-trunked tree of life is the same river that feeds heaven into existence. It flows right down the main boulevard. It makes heaven exist, another level of realm above us and below the divine. This river of life, this crystal river, feeds the tree of life. And the two trunks mean the duality of our universe. And the water of life feeds the leaves of the tree. You're a leaf, and I'm a leaf. All of us by the billions, we are the leaves on the tree of life being fed by the water from heaven. All the animals, all the insects, all the plants, all the viruses, everything is fed by the river of the water of life, of all life, the crystal river. Metaphor, metaphor, metaphor everywhere. As on heaven, crystal river feeding heaven. As on earth, crystal river feeding life in the universe. In this life, I live as Peter Panagore. Flawed, technologically flawed, and divine, the living light, just like you. So let's take a minute here and we're going to channel together and practice the key, the inner silence. And meditation is simple. We're just going to do this for a few minutes if you're new. And thanks for sticking around as I struggle with my tech stuff. Meditation is simple. Pick a word that aims at your heart, that aims your heart at the light. And then ride it on your breath up and down slowly. And when your mind wanders, pull it back to your breath using your prayer chant. There's links below. We start our meditation with 3 loud ohms, vibrating. Feel the vibration in your heart. Feel the vibration in your throat with your larynx going. Brrr. Feel the vibration in your third eye. Now here we begin. And if you need a word for the day, you could pick the word, say, love. Relax. Prayer chant interior. Nothing cursed, no more curse. The passage of John, the message of John of Patmos here is that heaven is no curse, no suffering, no wounding of each other, no death, no pain whatsoever. Nothing accursed, as the King James Bible says. And I picked that one just because it's beautiful, even though it's quite misogynistic. Wholeness, wellness, abundance on the other side of the veil, nothing is cursed. There's no suffering. On earth, not so much. But I advise you to always look on the bright side of life. Always look on the bright side of life. Monty Python. I see the sunny side of life now. Not like when I was young and only felt a curse in life. Hence my unrequited suicidality for those decades. I would say my first NDE was a blessing and a curse. This is what I would say to my wife. It helped me because the blessing was the light of all life flowing inside me like the crystal river, flowing right through me and into me, overfilling me. And this means that I could see and can see the crystal river of life and all things all the time, all around me. I see the light sparkling. The deeper I went in, the brighter the light became. And it was a duality here. It was a blessing and a curse. Some say the yin and the yang, to take the judgment out of it. Two parts making up one reality. Two trunks of the tree. One tree. One river of life feeding the city, pouring down that main boulevard into the tree of life, making us. That crystal river. We talked about this in the very beginning when we began to talk about Genesis 1 a few weeks ago. Goodness precedes corporeality. At the center of your being, you are made of this crystal river. It is goodness itself. Original goodness is found here in Revelation, in this crystal river. The realm here is called cursed by some, me among them sometimes. It sure hurts, but duality demands these two parts. Duality demands in the universe exists because of these two parts. Think of the yin and the yang. And each part, if you remember what it looks like, contains a bit of the other. The black swirl contains a white dot, and the white swirl contains a black dot, a complementary dynamic system that creates reality for us. Somebody asked a few minutes ago, how is the universe created? It's created through the Big Bang, as far as we can tell at the moment. But it's also created, undergirded, and under supported by the divine light that we spoke about last week, flowing into creating the darkness itself. Inside the darkness is the light. You can find a link below to see a yin and yang. Now, unfortunately, the Buddha was also pretty right, because life is often suffering and it hurts. But here's the promise. The promise is that there's no duality in the bosom of the beloved. In the lap of the divine, there's no duality. There's only mercy, welcome, love, beauty, peace, no brokenness, no wounds, no pain, no curse. Revelation 22:4. They shall see her face. They shall see her face, and her name shall be on their foreheads. I was in the divine presence of the God, of the divine self, of the goddess, Allah, whatever you want to call this. The face of the divine is love, and it was inside of me. It says here, her name shall be on their foreheads. We just went through the name Adonai, the beloved, the unspeakable, YHWH, the Huvier Vuvier, the unspeakable one. And if you're uncomfortable with any of that, you could check out the 99 names of God from Islam. And all of those names, even the beloved, they're not really names, they're designations, they're descriptions. All of them, the beneficent, the almighty, the creator of all of them are enwrapped in two words: light and love. And light is enfolded and emanates from love. This is the face of the divine. Love is the face of the divine. The unspeakable name is galaxies beyond the human tongue. We can't say it. It's experiential. Maybe you feel it right now. Maybe you feel just a bit of the tingle, a bit of the presence. The name Adonai, the beloved, was on my metaphorical forehead when I was dead, inside of me. I didn't have a forehead. I was an entity of light, an energy ball, huge. But the light was inside of me. It was written inside of me. It was living inside of me on my forehead. Now, what's on your forehead? It's your third eye. In this life, this matters. The whole of me in death, that was a metaphorical forehead when I was expanded by union of divine light in heaven. And on earth, I've seen the light now twice. I mean, I see the light everywhere. Like I talked about that. I see it in people's eyes. I see auras around them. But I've seen it twice intensely now. Not just the aura, but right in the forehead, emanating from the forehead. Everybody's got the glimmer. But let me tell you a little story. So one day, back when answering machines were in kitchens and I still had a landline, I came into my kitchen and my landline was beeping. I didn't pick it up because I didn't recognize the number. So this person left a message and I listened to it live. And the message was, Peter, I've been hearing all about you from all these different people and I've come to Booth Bay Harbor to meet you. I'm staying at this address. Could you come and see me? What? Who is this person? I thought. This person only gave me initials and no name. I looked at my wife and I said, this is odd. What should I do? What do you think? I don't know, she said. I said, well, he's in a public place. The address is right downtown. I'll go see him, meet him in the yard. So I call him back and I say, I'll be there in 10 minutes. I'll meet you in the yard. I park my car in front. I get out. I walk down the walkway. I enter the yard and I see him from 50 feet away. And as soon as I see him, the closer I get to him, the brighter it becomes. I feel like I've got an illumination in my forehead, like a flame flying here. And I can see the same thing on him. I see this flame on his forehead. It's a brilliant white light. And it extends out and it has some shape to it, but it's diffuse at the ends of it because the light fades a little bit as it gets away from the intensity. It's sort of oblong. And as I get closer to him, I recognize him. I've never met this man before, but I recognize him as myself. I know that sounds crazy or weird, but the light that was in me was the exact same light that was in him. Now, I've talked about this a lot. The light in me is the light in you. When you see the light in me, it's the light in you seeing the light in me. And when I see the light in you, it's the light in me seeing the light in you. The light sees itself. There was an intensity to this that I had never experienced before. And I hugged him. And as I hugged him, there was this mutual illumination between us. This light in the middle of your forehead, Some of you practice looking at your third eye in your meditation. I recommend this. The more you stare at your spot in the middle of your forehead, the more open it becomes. No, don't have expectations or grasping about what you should be seeing or what you think should be there. None of that stuff. Just place your mind and your breath there. Just bring your attention to this spot. You breathe up, bring your attention there. You can even leave it there. You breathe down, you can leave your attention there, or you can bring it down to another place and then bring it back up again. In the middle of your forehead, this third eye, it opens into heaven. It gives you sight. There's no night in heaven. You won't need a lamp or a light or a star, because the brilliant love gives all light. And when you see that here, that's a taste of it there. When I saw it in this man, it was a taste of it there, from there. If you see the light, it's heaven's light. And by heaven's eye, you see it. And here, at this level, this vibrational level, and astronomically, times infinity, is the light in heaven. Here, a little tiny bulb, a little LED. There, a crystal river that flows out in brilliance. Metaphor, people. Love and light is forever. And more, it becomes abundant in us all the time. We drink from the river and it fills us and it spills out, overflowing. Someone asked me, what's the purpose of life? People ask me this all the time. What's the purpose of life? What's my purpose in life? Well, you might have a particular purpose in life. But our general purpose in life is this: to allow the crystal river of all life to feed you, little leaf, and flow out from you into the world, to birth more water into the world, to bring the crystal river into your presence, to live inside the water, to flow with the river, to let it power you and empower you and pour out into the world through you. So tell me in the comments, have you ever seen the light inside anyone else? Do you see it? It doesn't need to be in the forehead like a huge lamp. Do you see it? Do you feel it? Can you open yourself to it? Can you let this river flow inside you? This river of life that flows from the divine throne is inside you now. And when you go, when you die, there is no death. You become this light again. You go back to where you came from, because the beginning is the end and the end is the beginning. This thing that's inside of you right now is what and who you are and where you are from. And if you tap into this thing, this crystal river of light inside you, you not only connect with heaven above, you connect with heaven here now. Christians call it realized eschatology. The realized presence of heaven among us. It's not fanciful. It's not fantastic. It's not it is mystery, but it's not magical. It is physics. It's the reality of our reality. It's the underpinning of reality itself. Tap into this thing. Swim in this river. Silence yourself. Just 20 minutes a day is all it takes. You don't need to be quiet all the time. Just little bits, little sips of water. Drink from the river. Let it flow out from you into the world. This creation story, this myth, this belongs in the beginning, before Genesis. Because if we understand this one thing, that we are the leaves of the tree of life, and that the water flows in you, colors everything about us, makes us understand who we actually are. You are leaves of the tree of life, from the crystal river of all life, flowing from the divine self. I saw this when I was dead. This river of crystal flowed into me and infilled me and inflated me. And I got to bring some of the water back with me. And then I discovered that if I practiced enough silence, the water would just flow through, even my imperfect self. Let me ask you, what do you want? I want the crystal river. I want the beginning and the end. I want to know that now. That knowing this now gives me confidence in life to live according to light. I want to thank you all for being here this morning, especially given my rough beginning again. And I'm going to take your advice, Susan. I'm going to make a list and I'm going to post it, a broadcast list. And I just saw a note come in from somebody who offered to help, and I accept. I don't know who that was, but I accept. We can talk about it. So I want to thank you for being here. And thanks to the beloved, we're still here. We've been here now since 2 Easters ago. Week to week, your gifts and your encouragement and your help keep me going. And I know someone in the chat said, my technical issues are a part of my charm. That's true, maybe for you. For me, it's like, thank you. Your encouragement keeps me going. Your forgiveness keeps me going. And I couldn't do this without you. I've kept it free rather than erecting paywalls. I don't want paywalls because the light belongs to everyone. And all my life, I've been giving it away, just as the ineffable voice instructed me to. Here's this gift, now give it away. Patreon or PayPal, those are very helpful. You can use your card there. Thank you. peterpanagore.love is where the link is. Also counseling by appointment, also at peterpanagore.love. And at the top of the next hour, our international mystical conversation, Mystic Tea Salon, is going to be, and the link is below. Humility and kindness rule there. I'm going to take a look. I like a pre-flight checklist. Yeah, I'm going to look at the chat here and see what's going on over there. Yeah, like a pre-flight checklist. I have to figure out where to mount it to so that it's part of my work day, so I don't have to move it. But yeah, I definitely need one. That outdoor, I'm glad that you enjoy the birds and the chipmunks. I'm sure the cars are pretty loud because they are when my speakers are on. Yeah. So I'm going to check out the chat here. What's going on? Thank you for your technical issues. Makes you feel normal. Thank you, Gertie. Yeah. The beginning is my end. In my end is my beginning. T.S. Eliot, says Brooke. In my end is my beginning, says Brooke, says Peter, says Wendy, says T.S. Eliot, says Gertie. This is true for all of us. Thanks, Wendy. So I just got a text. It said, my dog sits on the floor listening to you intently during not church. Woof. Here for the learning connection, not a slick presentation. Thanks, Wanda. Truth and caring, sincerity are what matter. Thank you. Wow, that went by quick. Yeah, that was quick. It was a short one today. Thank goodness. Here's the gift. Let me give it away. That's the thing. I'll be talking about what that was all about, where that came to me. It's been a a directive, I guess you could say, right to the core of my soul. Not mine to keep. That's really what this means, is that it's not mine. That's why I say the light isn't mine. It's not my light. It's never been my light. Not ego, Peter. Give it away. Give it away. Give it away. The more we give it away, the more it's shared, the more there is in the world. Through multiplication, the more there is in the world, there is more to share. The more there is to share, the more abundance there is. It builds on itself. Thank you, Lee. Thank you, Ursula. Vineyard worker, here's this gift. Let me give it away. That's what we do. Thanks for being here each week. You too, Beth. Thank you for being here, Peter, and sharing the light with us. I do the best I can, that's for sure. Someone says, cool, Carmen. What'd you do, Carmen? Carmen, Lee, sometimes it feels like I have an electric outlet plugged into your forehead. There you go. Sometimes it feels like she has an electric plug plugged into her forehead. That's the way the divine can feel. It can feel this buzz of electricity. It can be this overwhelming wash. So many ways it can present itself. I'm glad to hear that, Carmen. As it was in the beginning, is now, and ever shall be. Amen. That is the same thing, Michael. Thank you. As it was in the beginning, is now, and ever shall be. It says world without end at that. Heaven without end. Earth eventually will end, and maybe the universe will too. But as it was in the beginning, those people who wrote that, they were mystics, but they weren't scientists, probably. As it was in the beginning, is now, and ever shall be. Love without end. Love without end. Amen. I like to rewrite things. Who's a good boy, Vicky? Great lead in for Valentine's Day, says Linda. Hey, Linda, I hope you're feeling well. Thank you. Adet. Om Loka Samata Sukhino Bhavatu. Translation. May all beings everywhere be peaceful and happy. May all beings everywhere be peaceful and happy. Amen to that. And Rebecca, no more financial worries. Oh, I see you have a question for me, Lori. Thanks for the super chat too. How does one appreciate things if there is no duality in heaven? Oh, that's a really good question. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it, because abundance. So everything here is limitation. Limitation is the definition of reality here. Everything has limits. Even the expansion of the universe probably has a limit. We don't really know yet, but everything else, let's say everything else has limits. Everything else, we're trying to measure everything, right? With that super collider, the CERN super collider, we're trying to measure everything there is. There is only unlimitedness, unlimited abundance, and the divine love and light. It is, people won't think. When I was dead, I didn't remember any suffering. I came to appreciate suffering. Is that the right word? Appreciate suffering while I'm here? That's not quite the right word, because I don't appreciate it, but I accept it. But in heaven, there's only divine flow, and there's so much of it. There's unending to bliss. There's an unending. It's not like you get a baseline bliss. It's like bliss is on the up curve all the time. It's like love is on the up curve all the time, and it has no end. It's this ride ever deeper into perfection. And inside of perfection is awe and understanding and knowledge beyond human capacity to understand. You'll find out for yourself. You will. I promise you, you will find out for yourself in the moment of your acceptance of light after you cross over. Because really, I talk about death and dead. There really isn't any death or dead. There's just transition. Oh, you're welcome, Sandy. Sandy says, thanks for starting over, Peter, because this is your best message yet. Oh, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that very much. Um, Tim, hang in there, John. What's going on with John? John, oh, hey, brother. I'm glad you're here today. John has had some big surgery. I caught the whole thing this week because I'm still in rehab. Wonderful. So true your words as of course as they course through my being, tears, love, and blessing. Oh, John, get well soon, brother. I'm so glad that you're able to be here today. This community of gathering of mystics around the world, we all channel light together. There's, like I've said in the early messages that I gave through Not Church, there's a multiplication that happens. That multiplication speaks directly to us. John, you're in spiritual boot camp. Yeah, you are getting your butt kicked, that's for sure. But you're going to be great. You're going to come back even stronger, John. I have always had a little mystical experiences, but never felt the buzzing in my forehead. JD, focus your breath there. Bring in your meditation, leave your breath here. No imagination, no trying to understand. Oh, it's the place of vision, or it's this. What is it? Indigo. Don't worry about the colors. Don't worry about the meanings. Don't worry about any of that stuff. Just put your breath there. Put your mind there all the time when you're meditating. Put it there. Put it there. Put it there, and it'll open. Because the thing about it is that the practice, these, as Yogananda said, the Kriya Yoga practice is science in that it works every time for everybody. You just got to stick with it. So JD, I hope so for you. I hope it pops open for you. But keep your mind there and your breath. If you have a meditation practice, just bring your mind up to the top. Just bring it up to the top there. Love without end, amen, Nadine. Yes. Oh, thank you. Love without end. That's what I experienced when I was dead. Earth without end. My earth life ended. Okay. It did. Love, though, this abundance, unending. Galaxies, beyond universes of amount of love. You can't imagine. You can't imagine how great it is. And the more we keep our mind and our heart set now here on this, the more the abundance lives inside of us till it grows outside of us and interacts with the world around us, but it grows inside of us and connects us now to the divine light. Let's see, we're back where I was. Blessings, John. Hugh Ross gave a good explanation of the universe. I met a lot of people who were yogis and very into Kundalini meditation and opening the third eye, were very egotistical. I was told it looked like I was punched in mind by a channeler, no idea. Yes, spiritual pride, maybe I should do a thing on spiritual pride. The funny thing about spirituality is that there's this idea that there are levels. All right, and maybe there are levels here in this world, but once you experience the immensity of the divine self, it erases all of that stuff here. So it takes away spiritual pride. The thing about spiritual pride is that it hasn't touched into love yet. It hasn't seen itself in comparison to infinity yet. But when it does, all of that just vanishes, just goes away. It's immaterial. Thanks, John, for the super chat. So I sometimes say that we only have 5 or 7 minutes left this morning before Mystic Tea Salon, that there was this famous yogi who I won't mention his name, but he was famous for hot yoga. And one time I think he was standing in his Speedo on a woman's back with hundreds of people in this sweaty yoga place. And maybe I'm conflating these things. Maybe he was actually standing on the stage when he said this, but I saw this picture of him standing on a woman's back as she's in child's pose. Anyway, he says, "I'm the most spiritual person you're ever going to meet in your life." And that's just bravo, Sierra. The most spiritual people you ever meet in your life are like Thich Nhat Hanh. Where is the ego in Thich Nhat Hanh? Point to it. Show it to me. This is the aspiration of the devotee. Not self with a lowercase s, not self-realization, but self, capital S, realization. Big self, union self. Keep staring here, JD. Keep staring there. No sweet mysticism is science undiscovered. Do your own studies. Lucia, been to the sweet awe. I'm into science. I think that mysticism is science, actually. I think as it exists in the world, there's no magic here. There's just levels of physics. Did Jesus walk on water? If Jesus walked on water, it wasn't because he was magical. It's because he experienced a physics we don't understand. In the same way that quantum entanglement is a physics that we know exists but can't really say what it is, can't at all say what it is. Or superpositioning is physics. We know that it exists, but on the micro scale, but we don't understand that. We don't. We know how to, we're beginning to know how to use it. That's a different thing, but understand what it is, not so much. So yes, I actually, Lucia, I'm with you on that. Science, physics, realms, it's physics we don't understand. Heaven is some kind of physics that is above our dimensionality. Fifth dimension, seventh, eighth, whatever you want to call it, another level of dimensionality, but has a substance of its own, a physics of its own. When I was dead, the physics of being dead, when I was in the divine presence, was that I didn't have to process information. I understood information instantaneously. What I thought was what became real. I thought, I want to understand cosmology, and I did. Thought was action. Action was understanding. Different kind of physics. Quite beautiful, though, says Brooke. That's very obscene. Oh, Brooke, what did you say, my friend? Scrolling back. Oh, I don't see it, but whatever it was, I'm sure it was beautiful, you poet. Oh well, can't catch everything, can I? Where did I go? Oh, here we are. Why are you looking like you just woke up from hypnosis? Oh, sweet, sweet awe. Why do I look like I just woke up from hypnosis? I don't know. Do I look that way? Maybe it's just bliss. I don't know. Maybe it's meditation. Probably it's meditation. Now in your 30s, JD, keep at it. It takes a long time. You can find meaning and applicability in suffering if gratitude is your intent. That's right. And suffering is what opens us to the divine presence, whether we like it or not. That's just the way it is. So we've got 5 minutes before Mystic T Salon starts. So I'm going to be out of here in a minute or two, but I want to see what else is said over here. Thanks for explaining the third eye. You're welcome, Angel. Mind buzzes and swirls like crazy when I meditate, and I don't know what its purpose is. Don't worry about its purpose. Just let it be itself. You don't have to understand it. Just be in it. Mysticism is pretending. Oh, sweet awe. Can anyone prove me wrong? Oh, my friend. Oh, my friend. I see your upside down cross now. Maybe you should come to Mystic Tea Salon. Hello, Peter and everyone. I've wanted to do in the past 4 years is to go home. Well, you will someday. Don't rush it. I know what you're talking about. I get that same longing. Every time you touch your third eye, I have to look away. It's like fireworks, Peter. Oh, teasing. All right. Okay, my friends. I should go because I've got to take a moment here to get myself together. Thank you for all your comments. I'll talk to you all soon. Sweet Awe, thanks for dropping by today. You've added an interesting spark to our conversation. This is the place for learners and givers. If you're giving and seeking conflicts, please block. Yeah, actually, sweet so far so good. But anyway, peace and love, everybody. You don't look like you just woke up from hypnosis. Thank you, Nicole. Thank you, Nicole. All right, everybody. Peace and love. I'll see you soon. Top of the hour, Mystic Tea Salon. Thanks for being here, everybody. Namaste. Like and subscribe, please. It helps.